And today, Sangye and myself will both do a sermon. I'll go first. And I invite you to put your screen on speaker view if you want to watch me. When I lived in Utah, we had zebra finches. Now, zebra finch is this little tiny bird that sings an incredible, large amount, lives for about 2 years, and they're described as an ornamental bird because there's not much of a chance for establishing a relationship with them. You just watch and listen to them. And so I bought a used display cabinet, curio cabinet, took the top off, put wire in there and put in branches and set up a really pretty good cage for them. But if you've ever had finches, you know, as the pet store owner explained to me, they foul their nest. And I really didn't appreciate what that meant until you put, 10 birds into this large cabinet, what that means. You could clean that cage and it would stay clean for maybe a week or two. The glass, the floor, the water dish, all had to be cleaned routinely. Now, I've often thought that as humans, we have a relationship with the land like my zebra finches. We foul our nest. And when someone cleans our cage, we enjoy the freshness, but then we foul it again. In my lifetime, I've seen us pull back from fouling our nest. I've seen how acting together we can clean up our nest. The Clean Air Act of 1963 and 1970, the Air Quality Act of 1967, all of these were monumental in stopping and beginning to reverse the severe harm done in all the prior decades. The formation of the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, in 1970 finally stopped the uncontrolled pollution by our factories and industries. Leaded gasoline began to be phased out in 1973 and was essentially gone by 96. From the 40s, 50s, and 60s, there was a plan to fill in large amounts of the San Francisco Bay. And in 1960s, that was a popular idea because of how polluted and toxic and smelly the Bay had become. My own personal story is I traveled to Santa Monica, California from Utah very frequently in 1984 and 1985. And I will never forget going out for lunch, looking directly up at the sun at noon and barely able to see a little glow in the sky. It was bad, dangerous air for most of the year in Santa Monica. So, in my lifetime, I've seen that we can change our impact on the earth with public outcry, public organizing, public pressures on politicians and legislatures because of the unavoidable, undeniable pollution that was right in front of us. And I believe we succeeded because the consequences were so visible. We stopped fouling our nest. At least we slowed down the visible evidence of that anyway. But we have a culture, and our life is based on taking resources for our short-term benefit. Plastics, fossil fuels for our cars, our insatiable energy needs, water. The San Joaquin Valley is huge, middle of California, from Sacramento to Bakersfield, and due to agricultural pumping, the groundwater in some areas has dropped 28 feet. The water aquifers have dropped that much. But then in the 90s, we began to realize that we were beginning to foul our nest in non-visible ways. Oh, it's easy to agree on pollution when you can't see the sun. But when the consequences are not obvious or not right in front of our eyes, we can turn away. Today, we're not fouling our local nest, but humanity's nest. We don't like We didn't like seeing how fouled our nests were in the 70s and 80s, so we cleaned our nest. But we moved our poisons and excrements to other parts of the world, to places where the impact was invisible to us. We get lumber from foreign forests, from the Amazon rainforest. We dump our electronic and plastic waste in foreign countries where the dangers of handling them are shifted from us to marginalized people in far-off lands. We generate carbon emissions unrestricted, but we still have locally clean air, and we can keep our current lifestyle. We continue to view the land as a provider of resources for our taking. We continue to view the land as a place to dump our trash. We continue to see only our own nest, and all's well if my nest is clean. In my lifetime, the consequences of the way we foul our nest have gone from visible to invisible. But our fouled nest is becoming more and more visible in our country, in our land, and even in our county. Floods, hurricanes, and fires. Many of you were impacted by the fires of August and September. Our impacts are now visible. We're now seeing our own nest as fouled. Many years ago, I attended a Parliament of World Religions. 10,000 people gathered to listen to world religious leaders, to attend workshops. The theme of this gathering was reclaiming the heart of our humanity, working together for a world of compassion, peace, justice, and sustainability. Many keynote speakers from over 50 different faith traditions. One speaker I heard was from India. I will mispronounce his name, H.H. Punja Swami Shyanda. He's the president of one of India's largest and most renowned interfaith spiritual institutions. During his brief talk on climate change, he said something that pulled my eyes wide, wide open. He said, "The earth is not in trouble. The earth is not in danger or peril. The earth has been here for a long, long time. Humanity is in trouble. Humanity is in danger." Gratitude for the land is not about saving the land. This land, the earth, will be here long after we are gone. Gratitude for the land is about our ability to survive. Survive by seeing the consequences we create and stopping them. But what can we do? What path is there so our children and their children will survive? Can we have two focuses in our life? Can we stop putting all our focus on the immediate issues of the pandemic and politics? Can we focus on the long view? Can we start having gratitude for the land? In my life, I have seen that we can clean our nest. It's time. It's time to begin again.
There are more rivers rising, this I know, this I know. There are more rivers rising, this I know. There are more rivers rising, they will find their way to us. There are more rivers rising, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more fires burning, they will find their way to us. There are more fires burning, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. We will wade through the waters, this I know. We will wade through the waters when they find their way to us. We will wade through the waters, this I know. We will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. We will walk through the fires, this I know. We will walk through the fires when they find their way to us. We will walk through the fires when this I know.
Hi. I guess you're wondering where I am this time. Well, I'll give you a little clue. You see, I'm in a place that was affected by the LNU fire, the lightning complex fire that was happening same time as Santa Cruz. This was one of the larger fires, and it's in an area called Puda Creek. And so you might want to ask, why am I out here? And we're going to be talking about the gratitude of the land, and that man in the background is my husband. We're about 15 minutes away from my house. And I came out here because though there's so much char and so much destruction, there's actually a little bit of hope here, like that. And like this wonderful little gift. Now, I don't know if you can see the distance with my poor laptop camera, but I think you can pretty much see that that whole hillside was on fire. And this tiny little creek used to be almost all of this canyon. There's a dam up there that was put in the 1950s. So what's my point? What am I trying to say here? Land recovers, just like people. And we have to be grateful that this planet has the ability to recover and help it recover rather than contribute to its demise. Whenever we want to do something with gratitude, we often are thankful for all the gifts that are given to us. But how much do we give? And what is it that we do give? Robin Wall Kimmerer often talks about the cycle of reciprocity and how we need to take only what we need and give something back. So I'm asking you, what does that look like? Giving back can be fraught with difficulty. We feel resentful, or we feel put upon, or we feel like it's not fair. What did they do for me? Or nobody ever cared about me. Why should I help anybody? How do I do this? They won't like what I do. There's so many different kinds of things that we go through when we think about gratitude. What we don't think about is how important it is to be in balance with giving, and to understand that when you give, you're giving not just of yourself, but for the greater long-term good. Climate change is the result of a collaborative taking. We know this. So it makes me wonder, what does collaborative giving look like? One individual can do a great deal of harm, as we've seen, and one corporation can do a great deal of harm. So I ask you again, what does a single organization do? In the next few months, you're going to be thinking about that a lot. What can the fellowship do to collectively change the world, or give back, or a combination? Is changing the world giving back? It's kind of a different way to look at the things around us. But when we understand that the cycle of life from burning to renewal comes along, some really amazing things can happen. Life does come back no matter how much we try to destroy it. And I don't know if you can see down there, but there's an egret. That tiny, tiny little white speck down there. And often you've heard the idea that, well, I tried to get something done and it didn't work out, and I tried really hard. Lord knows I know what that's about, and I'm sure you guys have all seen my attempts at trying to do things. And, it doesn't work out because we're not doing it from a place of generosity or gratitude. We're doing it from a place of, I want to look good. And so we have to step back and we have to say, what's needed here? Not what do I need or what do we need as an organization, but what is needed here. And I try really hard sometimes, fail miserably all the time. But I try really hard sometimes to figure out what it means to do the right thing. And when things don't go right, I step back and say, well, was my motivation right? In Buddhism, we have a little thought about that. Motivation drives all actions, and therefore is kind of influences the outcome. That dam up there was built to water agricultural businesses that were growing in this area. And what they ended up finding out was that they actually depleted the groundwater down here. So it didn't help at all. And now they're left with a tiny, tiny creek. No salmon, no lifestyle, no livestock, nothing here. They're left with a dry, desiccated place that torches instantly. So I ask you again, what does the world need from us right now? What do our fellow members in this church need from us right now? What are the things that this virus has given us that we can use right now? Well, this virus gave me this internship, which is helping me in ways I never thought possible. All of you have given me your time, your treasure, and your talent so that I can go on and work with the greater world in a capacity of a minister. You did this, not me. I'm just showing up and trying to figure things out. What you're doing as an institution, what your core values are as a group of people who've come together, influences and changes what will collectively happen for the good. We have some great things that have already happened when we saw collectivity and positivity. But sometimes the landscape gets scorched. And sometimes it's going to be hard to replenish this landscape and bring it back to life. But again, look at the green banks and the egret down there and the birds singing and a whole lot of life coming back. That's what we have to do. Let's take the long view and let's hope. Keep our hopes up. COVID is giving us a chance to incubate and think about the future. There is a future. Even though it might feel like this, there is a future, and it's running and alive down there. Ashe, and blessed be, and have gratitude for the land.